Welcome to the channel. My review today will be of Bulletstorm VR. Bulletstorm VR is a decent game that pulls in a good story and throws you an alien world with a past history with an opposing character with some nice growth mechanics, but I wouldn't be rushing to buy it just yet. These reviews were based off of my PCR equipment, which is running the following: i9-9900K, 32 gigs of RAM, 1TB M2, 5080 GPU, and a Quest 3 for the VR headset. Next will be a quick summary from the manufacturer. Bulletstorm VR was developed by Incuvo and published by People Can Fly. Bulletstorm VR is a brutally creative action shooter that puts players in the boots of a hot-headed space mercenary, Grayson Hunt, as he shoots, kicks, and leashes all he can across the hostile world of virtual reality. Likes and dislikes. The story I thought had a good flow and direction. It wasn't just pieced together last minute. You could feel it with the way that it kept progressing throughout. Player growth. I saw a lot of player growth in the very beginning, with even the injured player changing and adapting. Thought that was a nice touch. Becoming more cyborg-like. Cutscenes. I thought the added cutscenes were interesting. They added to the overall gameplay with movie-like quality, which I thought was a nice touch, something a little different. Glove ability. I thought the gloves being useful tools was a nice balance and support to futuresque kind of a game. Upgrades. I like the upgrade options, especially if you play the game all the way through the end. You could upgrade environmental features, guns, weapons, etc. Environmental interactions. Tossing enemies into the walls, electricities, and spikes was a very nice touch as well. It made you feel like you're more in the environment, which for VR I thought was great. Cross-platform availability. It's available on PSVR, PC VR, and MetaQuest 2. Even though I only tested on PC VR via Steam, it seemed to work fairly well. Dislikes. Physics are off. Sometimes you kill a guy and they're just floating in the air. I had a couple of times where I'd blow up a barrel or shoot a guy as he's running near a ledge, and then all of a sudden he would just die floating in the air, either a couple feet above the ground or suspended off a cliff that had no support. Gun mechanics are odd. Shooting mechanics just have you going around in circles. It's hard to explain unless you've played the game before, but basically for me when I was shooting, the gun would fire in a circular recoil mannerism. For those who ever shot before, this just didn't make sense. Enemies don't react to being shot. While shooting the bad guys, they'll just stay there while getting shot sometimes, and it'll take a crazy number to kill these guys who have no armor and are just relatively pretty large. My personal favorite was when I shot a guy so many times in the chest and stomach that eventually I got a headshot. It made no sense at all. Targets were clearly hitting was the chest and the stomach, and all of a sudden I got a headshot victory. Pulling enemies. Can pull enemies through walls. Clearly this shouldn't happen. I can't explain why it would, other than it's just bad connections or configuration. Cutscenes, very poor quality. Trying to put a 3D model flat screen, interesting idea, just didn't really work well. Shock hands issues seem to not always attack the objects you're aiming at or work out all the times. I would try to grab objects to pull them, or people, or even just shock in general, and sometimes it would not fire or would not engage or go after the wrong thing. I don't know, it could be just an issue with the Quest 3, but I found it very frustrating, very unreliable. Graphics, even though I had them on max, it was still hard to swallow in 2024 for this game was released in 2024, despite it being a port over from 2017. Many audio issues. Drove me crazy. I would literally exit the game, I'm not kidding, about 3 to 4 times to get the audio to work. I'd have to go play another game to come back to have this audio work on this game, and then eventually it would work. Honestly, I felt like it really soured the whole experience. Like when you get into this game to play it and you're already kind of disappointed with the graphics and kind of the gameplay, the audio quality is kind of like the last nail in the coffin. I feel it's just like usually the audio should be a bare minimum to have work in a game consistently, and it wasn't for me. Laser for the gun is needed. The primary weapon has a laser on it. It does have a backup iron sights, but I couldn't use them to save my life. And the laser was pretty much the only way to play with it, at least that I could find consistently that would work. No exploration at all. It seems very limited focused in a very singular direction. Doesn't really give any side areas to explore that weren't directly quest related. No small nice things to find. There's nothing that really made this kind of interesting. No like little Easter eggs or anything like that. It was just a straight shoot all the way through to the end. Overall review. I wouldn't recommend buying this game. I really wasn't impressed with the overall gameplay in 2025. The mechanics were sometimes very kludgy. Major audio issues. I cannot emphasize this enough. Major audio issues. Graphics that are still back from 2017. I think this game could be really good with some updates, but as it appears today, it just seems to be a port over that was moved to VR and then abandoned. Very sad in my opinion, as I believe the game could have had great potential in VR with the added environmental variables and glove options that make it a great concept for VR. Thank you for listening to my review, and have a nice day.